Hi, and welcome to A Live After Reading. It's Tim, here with a short message before the show. I have a new epic fantasy novel, Demon Scroll, out on Amazon for pre-order right now, and it would mean everything to me if you go check it out. It's going to be a big book. I'm writing it right now. The process is really carrying me through it forward. This is one of my favorite genres, epic fantasy, and yeah, go check out Demon Scroll on Amazon. Give it a pre-order. It's 99 cents until the launch. So go get it and enjoy. Thanks for listening. Now on to the episode.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to A Live After Reading. I'm Tim Niederreiter, and with me today is a returning guest, an awesome returning guest, Kathrin Hutson. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Well, Kathrin, because we did this so out of order the first time you were on the show, tell everybody what you write and the sort of work you do, just in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I write dark fiction across the board. So most of it's dark fantasy, and then I've got some dystopian sci-fi in there, a little bit of a noir thriller kind of feel, and I think I'm starting to turn things more into the LGBT world as well, bringing more fantasy and sci-fi there. That's where my next series is really being drawn at this point, and oh, yeah. So that is the overarching.
Okay, no, that's
what
great.
I do. Dark,
dark and speculative, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I actually do have. I mean, you're also quite a fast writer, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yes, I like to think so.
Well, you write a lot at any rate.
I sure do. I do. I also ghostwrite fiction, so I'm working on my own books, and we talked about this last time.
Yeah, you did, but books. I guess I'm not sure if we got around to me asking you the questions about the maybe slightly crunchier part of the numbers and how fast you actually get books done.
Oh yeah. So when I'm ghostwriting and I have a pretty set in stone paycheck that's coming my way, which we talked about deadlines being a big motivator. I'm averaging about 8,000 words a day.
Okay.
And that's, including like some slow days that are really just not my best, which for me a slow day is like 5,000 words. Okay. So it's relative.
That's pretty quick by a lot of people's standards, that's for sure. But don't worry, you're in understanding company here. I've done some 10,000 word days. I'm not quite as consistent as doing 8,000 on average. That's amazing. I think that's great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's definitely. I never thought it was possible when I started this whole thing. I was like, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. No one can do that. Like, and actually, have it be good. But it's very possible. Not to toot my own horn too much, but I guess
it's impressive. But I've had people I've had Rachel Aaron on this show, and she had a book 2K to 10K because she does about 10,000 words a day when she's on a book.
Right.
And because she wrote a little nonfiction book about it, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. About how she particularly does it, which is it was frustrating because I love the book, but it was like, okay, this is very personal, and I need to find my way of doing it now.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And everybody's
didn't really work for me.
Yeah. Everyone's got their own process. It's really hard to try and emulate someone else when writing itself is an incredibly personal process, and everyone has their own thing and their own way of doing it. But again, we were talking about last time, it's a practice, and it's a muscle, and it's an exercise, mm-hmm. and like it just keeps getting better and better. I think that my record for words in a day is like 14,300 and something, and that's I plan to break it again.
Yeah.
But it does keep getting better. Like today, I was really in the zone this morning, working on a project for a client, actually, which is great. And I had only been writing for 2 hours, and I stopped and like looked at the word count and I was like, is that really right? And I had written 4,000 words in those 2 hours and was just totally
Nice.
in it. Yeah. And it's even still, I keep surprising myself. So, yeah, I do write fairly quickly, and some days are, of course, better than others. Some days are not anywhere near the good days,
Yeah.
and
Well, that's isn't that how writers go? And also, don't
did it
for any listeners, don't be intimidated by these numbers. No one needs to write this fast unless they're doing it
right.
professionally, like as a job, like a
Exactly.
ghostwriter. I mean, if
Exactly.
you're a slower writer than this, I think most people are. I know I am,
Yeah.
to the most part.
Right.
Uh,
I was too for a long time.
oh, and actually, it's the other thing. That's the reason this is kind of on my mind, though. It is a little bit of a story, but I just recently started voice dictating. So I just dictate into
cool.
a phone. I
Yeah.
record an MP3, and then I upload that to a transcription software, and that turns out my draft much faster than before. I mean, I can do a lot of words every hour, but the problem now is that I'm missing something else. Like now the time commitment isn't so high to write, say, 10,000 words. It's like 2 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Nice.
but now I need to know a lot of story, and I need to be really engaged with the story. I already can't do that for 2 hours. It's a different challenge.
Yeah.
And that's the part yeah, go on. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say that I love hearing that dictation is working for you in terms of like, getting it out and moving your process with a lot more speed. I tried it a couple of times, and I have a bunch of 5-8 second clips that all end in me being like, this is effing ridiculous, and like turning it off. And I type as fast as I think.
Okay.
Pretty much. I was tested at 121 words per minute when I'm like, I worked at a law firm. And so I was always like typing up their notes and doing transcriptions for them. And so I type very, very quickly. My brain doesn't always move as fast as my fingers. And my mouth is the slowest of them all. So trying to speak is not not a process that works for me, but I'm really happy to hear that you have found that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a talker. I mean, and I've got stupid fingers, so I'm not a great typist.
Well, good. Everyone, we have our own things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With my hands, literally.
Like you can type faster. You can type faster than I can actually dictate fiction. I can only dictate about 90 words a minute, which is still a lot for me. That's a lot for me because I can only type 30 words a minute. That's basically
right. I was going to say that's a lot faster than like the, what used to be the requirement for being hired as a secretary. Can you type 45 words a minute?
No, yeah, I cannot be a secretary by typing. That's for sure. Because I don't have that that requirement is above me. But anyway, that's probably enough about numbers. It's interesting to me, but it probably doesn't address what a lot of people are wondering about as far as writing goes and the listeners.
Right. Well, yeah. It's fun, but
yeah, but it does kind of dovetail with what I was thinking about most of today is that I'm like, why do I not write as much as I could now? Honestly, since I just started dictating and it's a little difficult to get the thoughts gathered to write, for an hour that way. But I do think it's possible. And I think that it kind of takes me back to Rachel Aaron's book, because one of the 3 things she says she requires, or that makes it easier to, makes her able to write so fast when she writes 10,000 words in a day, for example, is that she needs to be enthusiastic. Do you think that's true for you? Do you need to be enthusiastic about what you're writing to really jump into it and flow with it?
So I understand where she pulls up that as an important thing. And I think that is a great piece of advice to go with. I actually don't know if anybody else has felt this way. I haven't spoken to anyone who does, so I'm not sure, but I am not so much, it's not so much about me being enthusiastic about the project and like the specific content, as it is about me being enthusiastic with the act of writing, or enthusiastic about like, I am writing fiction. I am in the zone. My head turns off and I ignore everything else and I'm writing, and time goes by, and I forget to eat, and it's been 6 hours, and like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pass out right now, so I need to stop. So I mean, that's what I'm enthusiastic about, and I have not yet worked on a project where I'm just like, this is crap, and I'm not
Okay.
feeling it today. And so it's very possible that in the future that might happen, but it hasn't yet. And I absolutely love story, and I love being in that flow of space and creating worlds and characters and just zoning out, and the act of writing, the process of writing is what I'm enthusiastic about. And so far, nothing has really broken that for
Oh,
me.
that's great. I mean, honestly, I wish I could say the same.
Yeah.
I frankly, I find it hard to stay interested in basically all the projects. So I think I have the opposite issue going on. I'm the opposite
And
quality.
right, I've heard a lot of. I mean, that's that is a common thing that writers come up against. Excuse me. Is maybe losing a certain level of enthusiasm for projects, or getting bored with them because of feeling like we're stuck in, oh my gosh, what do I do next? I don't know what to do next. And there's a lot of, I think that the most important thing is to just keep going, is kind of what I've learned for myself, at least. And then again, I mean, I have been stuck with my own projects, with my own books, far before I started ghostwriting. And it turned out that, a lot of why I was so stuck in writing my own fiction, and why I mean, at one point I didn't write for 4 years. And that was because I was going through a lot of my own personal issues that were, making me feel like I didn't deserve to sit down and do what I wanted to do. And so moving past that, for me, it was like an emotional, emotional, mental, kind of, I had to get to a point where I was reinventing myself and re-including author into that. Right. And so for me, since I have done that, and since I have like really truly embraced the fact that this writing fiction specifically is, one of my superpowers, probably the superpower if I had to pick one. And since then, I haven't had issues losing enthusiasm for it, which I am grateful for every single day. And I think it's incredible. And, I'm going to knock on wood right here.
Sounds like a good life to me, honestly.
But
it does. It's kind of inspiring. It honestly is making me think. Maybe that's maybe I need to focus more on process than. Because honestly, when I was briefly a ghostwriter, that's what I had to do to get through it. I had to focus on just telling a better story, because that's what made me engaged with it still. Even though, I mean, I was given a lot of parameters that I did not enjoy with that particular book. I also did enjoy some of the things I came up with to put in there. And I still think that book's better for it.
Good.
But also I was able to get through it, which was important.
Yeah, it's huge. It is. And it baffles me every single time, the things that, people, writers, myself included, are capable of actually doing when we give ourselves the permission to do what we think is impossible, or what we would like to convince ourselves is impossible, because sometimes it's easier.
No, I know what you mean there too, actually. It just rings very true to me.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I have definitely been there. And I mean, if I can sit here and talk to you about about process and how I got to this spot, and if you and someone else finds it inspiring, that is, I'm
That's
getting
another superpower. Come on.
Yeah.
Or derivative of your superpower.
Right. There we go. Exactly. Might be going against my whole branding right about now. Like, inspire people.
You can't be all dark all the time. Yeah.
No, I certainly can't.
Well, you're laughing too much for that, at any rate.
I know. Isn't it crazy? I'm such a super like happy, smiley, laughy person, and I'm just writing like just awful things.
Oh, geez. I hope I got my fingers crossed. I actually did just recently pick up one of your books. I couldn't pronounce the name of the series. It was Children of something, I believe.
Oh, Ginona's Children. Did you pick up Daughter of the Drackan?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, the first one.
I just went by the numbers. I forgot. I just not looking at the
Oh,
names
that's
too
okay.
carefully.
No, there's only two of them, so
Oh,
it's a
okay.
duology. Yeah, so that's fine. That's exciting. Thank you.
I'm
And
gonna have to give it a shot because I'm always curious, and it's kind of like when I take writing advice from somebody, and I admit I'm kind of taking some writing advice from you.
Okay.
I always make sure, like, I want to make sure this turns out a good product, right? But also,
Right.
but I mean, I already read the sample. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good so far.
Oh, good.
I try to read the sample first, almost regardless of why I'm getting a book. So
Right.
it looks and I was like, I'm sure Kathrin wrote a good book. I'm sure this is gonna be good, and it's so far so good.
Excellent.
But
Good.
yeah. Anyway, but I'm like, oh, fingers crossed, this doesn't make me cry. I'm such a wuss for at least, as they say, as the saying goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. No shame in it. You might cry when you read the second book.
Okay. Well, I'll consider that $6 well spent when I get there.
Excellent. Yeah, I would.
Anyway. So as far as the process of, when did you write those books? Actually, I didn't take a look at the dates on Amazon.
Oh, so yeah, Daughter of the Drackan, the book that you picked up, is the first book in that duology, and I wrote both books in high school, and I finished them New Year's Eve of my junior year of high school.
Wow.
And I was like, it's the last thing I do this year. I'm gonna finish these
that's
books.
nice.
Right. And I did. I actually declined going out to New Year's Eve parties with my friends in order to finish this book. And it was both books at the time, and it was 210,000 words, and it was a monster. And long story short, I released Daughter of the Drackan as my first indie book in October of 2015. And so it was almost 10 years, we'll say.
Okay.
Between when I finished the very first draft and when I finally decided to publish. And somewhere in between that decade or so were the 4 years where I literally did not touch a word of fiction to write it for 4 years. But yeah, so there was a long time in between, and published Daughter of the Drackan, in 2015, and then 2016 I published Mother of the Drackan, which is the sequel, the second book in the duology.
All right.
That was in May of 2016, and just after I released the second book, the first book became a dark fantasy bestseller on Amazon. That was very cool.
Neat. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of, and it was also, I was pretty proud of the fact that I had gotten so many rejection letters from traditional agents for Daughter of the Drackan, which finally led me to, all right, I'm going indie. I have to put this out there. And then the traditionally rejected book became the bestseller on Amazon. I was like, all right, I'm doing something.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, that's great. But it's as they say, those who make traditional publishing impossible for somebody make their indie publishing inevitable these days.
Yeah. Well,
do some kind of, I think I forget what quote I just parodied there. Whatever. It was something about change. Anyway, yeah, but that sounds like it's a good start to a career there as far as an indie writer, though. Being a bestseller with when your second book's just coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a month after my second book came out.
A month, okay. So you got some momentum going there.
I think so, and then it kind of.
Well, it always peters off, right? I mean.
Yeah, right, and then it did even more for a while because I let's see. Yeah, that was 2016. Oh, I did publish. Okay, so I published Daughter of the Drackan in October of 2015, and then I got pregnant the following January and had my daughter in October of 2016. Okay. So
So that was a
I
little bit
didn't.
of put the damper on the writing
Quite. Yes, it was. It
for a little
was
bit there.
bad. I was a brain dead pregnant woman. I spent so much time staring at walls, and I'm not exaggerating.
Oh
Like,
no, I
for
mean
real. I
that
stared at walls.
that it sounds. It makes me very glad I was not born a woman because frankly, pregnancy sounds terrifying and weird. I'm sure there's great parts to it too, but it
I mean,
sounds like it doesn't surprise me that someone that at least a lot of I've talked to a lot of moms who read horror and dark fiction.
yeah.
I mean,
You really
I don't
want
think
to
this
put
is a
someone
coincidence. I mean, everyone reacts differently to different stimuli, but I'm thinking that
right.
makes some
No.
sense.
Oh, of course, it totally does. It totally does. And I will say 100%, I had our daughter was born at home, and I had a, completely natural birth with midwives and, like, the whole shebang. I would do that again in a heartbeat, like, over and over and over, if I didn't have to be pregnant for 9 months beforehand.
Turn into
So
a zombie, just
yeah, God,
eats
oh,
and
it was
sleeps.
awful. Oh, it was no sleeping. It's
Oh,
just
just
eating
eats, just
everything,
eats. Okay, very
sleeping
zombie-like
nothing.
then.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's bad. And
Okay.
yes, that's why we only have one kid. um,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, what were we talking about? I'm
I
sorry.
don't know. I'm
I
sorry.
totally derailed.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm all
Oh,
right with that. Where this conversation has gone, I'm okay with
yeah,
this.
it's cool. It's an interesting place to be.
But as far as your publishing history goes, it
Yeah.
does
Oh yeah.
it did slow you down for a little bit there,
It sure did. I didn't.
incidentally.
Yeah, it really did. I am amazed that I published Mother of the Draken at all that year. That I even
Okay, yeah, because I
could
guess
do that.
you were pregnant at that point, yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that slowed down for a while, and then 2017 I didn't publish anything. I had a brand new kid, and we moved across the country again, and uh, all kinds of fun stuff.
okay. So your
um,
career really is starting. I mean, it's taking off more now. I mean, it's 2018. You published some stuff, right?
yeah, definitely. I put 4 books out in 2018. I wrote I wrote two and a half of those 4 books in 2018.
Okay.
And then um yeah, and then I was able to just kind of, keep up a rhythm and a pattern. I will not be publishing 4 books this year, but I'm still writing fiction and doing what I love, so I'm finding that balance, and that's good with me. Um but yeah, so I did actually start, I think it was January of last year, 2018, where I sat down and I was like, okay, this is what you have to do. Quit ignoring it and putting it off. I made the commitment to write 1,000 words a day on my own work. This is before I was ghostwriting too. Like 5 days a week, right? So I
Hmm.
had to put in 5,000 words a week. That was the deal. And if I could do that, I could write a book in 14 weeks. And I was looking at that and I was like, oh my gosh, can I actually do that? That's insane. That's crazy. And now I'm like, well, I write a book in 14 days. Just like looking back at the difference there, where it was scarier to commit to writing a book in 14 weeks than it was to writing a book in 2 weeks.
Oh no, I
Which
totally
is,
get what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but it
because
was
I
the
mean,
start.
I don't write that fast, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah. It was the start of like a real commitment. Like, okay, so you had your time being pregnant and being a new mom, and now you're settling in. So you're gonna whip myself into gear and make a plan, make a commitment, do it. And then I did it. And I just keep doing it, whatever it
Hell
happens to
yes.
be.
Hell yeah.
Right?
You got to do it.
Yeah. And it's been crazy awesome. Really, things started exploding for me just this last January, honestly.
Awesome. Awesome. And I
Yeah.
mean, and with a few interruptions, it seems like I mean, not exactly a straight trajectory, but you're getting there, and you get,
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
it
my life
seems
has
like
never been.
yeah. But when you write as much as you do, I'd say it's probably inevitable when when you have the skill and the speed together, the quality's there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm constantly amazed by myself in both of those regards. Every day that, like, yeah, this is, wow, I'm actually doing this. And I kind of hesitate to say it, but I also think it's pretty cool that I turn what's the phrase I'm looking for? I don't know. I write incredibly clean first drafts these days. And that has come from like years of editing other people's work and years of editing my own work and like years of writing. And it was not always that way. Let me make this perfectly clear. But now, which makes it so great for the ghostwriting. Like I write a book in 10 to 14 days is normally what's happening. And then it is so clean that I can go like take a once over through it and catch most of the mistakes or the little spelling and
grammatical.
Thank you. Grammatical. See, my mouth does not move as quickly as my fingers. And I can catch those, and then I've had quite a few clients get back to me and be like, wow, did you have this edited beforehand? No, but please feel free to send it to someone else. You probably should, because
just to make sure, right?
Right. Like I know I'm not going to catch everything. Thank you for the compliments, but please don't take my word for it.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I've gotten that compliment, the same compliment similar to that a lot actually. Not from ghostwriting mostly from my writing group, because I didn't. But even when the book I ghostwrote, it took 2 months. But when the guy got it, he's like, "Yeah, let's skip the editing phase and just get this out there," which was a little weird. But I got paid for editing and I didn't have to do it, so that was great.
That is really great. That's awesome. And when, oh my gosh, it makes an editor's life just like, it's like Christmas time when you get a manuscript that only has like, a couple of errors here and there, and then you actually you're getting paid to read a good book, hopefully.
As long as you like the book, yeah, there's the challenging part out of the way.
Right, exactly. And I've had a few editing clients. I'm moving away from editing, just slowing it way down to like the point where I don't do much of it. But I have had clients who have given me manuscripts that are like, you really did not need me, so this is great, thank you, and I love your story. It's a great
sometimes they need the validation or the confirmation. That too is helpful.
Totally. Oh yeah, both, all of it, and the
you don't know if it's broken until you hand it to somebody else who's professional.
Right, whose job it is to find broken things.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's always so important to be able to find something in our writing that is working, right?
Right.
And that's the seed of what to hold on to and what to grow.
My most successful book currently is a book that I thought was too weird, and I handed it out. So it was a novella that I thought was really strange. So I hired an editor for it, and he's like, "This book's really good."
Oh,
this is
excellent.
And so I'm like, I guess I'm going to publish it. I mean, I already had an inkling to publish, or I wouldn't have hired an editor. But it's like, I really just wanted to know if it was any good.
Right. At that point. Just tell me, and I'll pretend like I think it is. And it
was extremely favorable edit. Like it was kind of what you're describing. There weren't a whole lot of actual changes to make.
That's awesome. Now please tell me what this one is.
Oh, it's called The Mangrove Suite. It's my sci-fi dystopian book.
Oh, excellent.
And it's got a little bit of lovey stuff in there, romancy stuff, but it's very different than it's very different than I almost said lovey-dovey. I didn't want to do it though. Now I did it. Thank you very much. So that one's currently out. It's currently free on Amazon. So
nice.
And it's the first in a little series of the Rain Protocol series is the name of the series.
Excellent. You said the Mangrove Suite.
Yeah, mangroves. Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's free. You can't beat the price. So
no, absolutely not.
That's the plug for that book today. We'll maybe do it again at the end of the show. And we're getting there. But one last thing before we get there, actually, is what kind of what have you been reading lately? Yes, that's what it is.
Right. So here you're gonna think I'm such a boring person. I was reading Stephen King's The Gunslinger, which is book 1 in the Dark Tower series of his. Just my favorite all-time favorite series, and this is my 10th time reading it through. So however many months it's been since the last time I was on your show, Tim.
Like 2.
Okay, I'm now only on book 3, The Wastelands. So
Oh, that's
That's what I'm
fine. I
reading
mean,
right
you're a
now.
busy person.
Yeah.
You know, you got the
I,
kid,
you know,
you got
I
the,
know.
you got a kid, you got tons of ghostwriting to do. I don't blame you for not getting further. I don't think I finished. I finished like a couple full novels in between for reading a couple.
Right.
Not much.
Yeah.
But today I just
Yeah.
picked. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go for it.
Today I just picked up The Artist's Way again, and that's a nonfiction book about.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's kind of interesting, and I've never been able to complete the course, so maybe this time I'll give it a shot for real.
Yeah, I bet you would find some stuff in there to help with your writing process as well. Absolutely.
Definitely. I mean, I'd read parts of it before. I think I'm just gonna have to go through it from cover to cover this time and
Hmm.
do the morning pages. You know, the 3 pages longhand of just brain vomit every morning.
It's actually really fun.
It gets to
When
be.
you,
I did
yeah,
like 6 weeks of morning pages the first time I read the book, but
nice.
I
Yeah,
found it too difficult to do it by hand, so I started gradually
yeah,
cheating.
hurt.
But I'm gonna have to stick to it, especially now that I don't have to type anymore. I mean, I don't have to type for most of the day
Right, that's
because I'm
perfect.
dictating. So I mean, it's okay if my hand gets a little cramped. It's okay.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could,
Cool.
and honestly, because I mean, I have ADHD. It's really helpful to just write shit down in the morning. It's really useful.
Oh yeah, it's a great way to center and be like, okay, this is what my day is gonna be like, or this is what I really need to just vomit and dump out and get out of me so I can function, which I
I wake up
totally understand.
I wake up in the morning with just random things from other podcasts, like lines from other podcasts that I've listened to, just echoing in my head,
Oh God.
and it's really unpleasant. I've got to say, it's
Yeah,
not the
that's
best.
not.
If
I
I
don't
just
want
write that down, maybe I could exercise that kind of stuff.
to. Yeah, you're just gonna have 3 pages of random people's podcast lines.
Yeah, and then it's like, nah, I guess we're never publishing this. That'd be
No, that's it. It's useless.
I guess we never. I don't know. You wouldn't publish your morning pages. That was just a silly.
No,
No one publishes their morning pages. Just
please don't. No,
don't
that's not. It's not for the world. Do not.
keep them to yourself.
No. Yeah, please. I would not want to put my morning pages when I get them on.
So have
anyone.
you done the course then? Basically, taken.
Oh, I
Oh,
have. Yeah, yeah. I did it. I did it during one of those 4 years when I was not writing,
okay.
and still
Was it
took some
toward the end,
time.
or was it just in the middle?
No, it was towards the end. It was towards the end, but I had a few more epiphanies to dig up before I got back into writing again. But it was definitely helpful on the road for sure.
Well, it's a good one. It's an interesting coincidence that I should bring it up. Then not everyone's heard of it.
Yes, well
It's
then
a
I
really
know.
quality book. It's by Julia Cameron.
Yeah, and it's great. I was like, oh hey, Tim's into The Artist's Way. That's fantastic. He's like, one
Well,
more
I mean,
thing we have in common.
that one and The War of Art. I've tried them both. I like The Artist's Way a little better.
I have not, but I've not done The War of Art.
Well, The War of Art's more of a diagnosis book. Like it's not. It doesn't tell you because it just talks about resistance. Is the main thing that book's about. It's
Yeah.
about things that stop people from doing what they're trying to do. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
useful.
I
But it's
totally.
a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't actually lead you into action.
Well, there's some of that, but it's
Oh, okay.
definitely kind of spiritual. So they're comparable books, but
Okay.
The Artist's Way is actually a lot longer. It's a lot more detailed in some ways.
Yeah, there are a lot of little exercises in there. I thought it was wonderful.
Oh, it's I just need to stick to the program, I think, and I'll probably discover some things.
Yeah, right. And I can't stick to any schedule or program these days, but my writing actually, I meet my deadlines, and that's about it. I'm late with everything else. I break up I can't work out more than 2 days in a row because I'm like, oh crap, I have to write more today. So
Your
I
book's
keep up it.
solid when it comes to writing.
What's up? What's
Your
that?
book's solid then, basically. You just have so much writing on your plate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hey, if it's what you love to do, you got to do it.
It's what I love it. I'm not unhappy with my inability to stick to any other kind of schedule. It's just I think it's funny. I used to be a very scheduled person. Not anymore.
Yeah, I see. I totally understand. Anyway, we're about out of time, so tell people where they can find you on the internet.
Yes, I am everywhere. So first off, you can find me at my website. It's KathrinHutsonFiction.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Kathrin Hutson Fiction. Twitter is KLH Createworks. Oh, those aren't my books, but I am also all my books are available wherever good books are sold, online and in paperback, and that's that.
Well, thanks. It's been awesome having you on the show again. And
Yeah.
thanks for being here. It's been tons of fun. And as for this podcast, you can find more at mentalcellularpublications.com. You can find my I don't want to just go into the spiel here, but I'm going to do it. Is you can also find my books at amazon.com mostly. I mean, there's 3 books that are available everywhere though, and that's Ilsa in Blue. That's the first 10 Liars book, getting its fresh new cover very shortly here. And that's fantasy with guns. Then there's Stormfleet, which is of course the first Pillar Universe book, which is space opera without space. And then there is of course the Mangrove Suite, which is the first book of the Rain Protocol series, and we talked about that one earlier, but it's about memories and psychic networks and stuff. So check all those out. Those ones are free. So that's a good price. You can't beat that price. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
That tears it.